What's up, guys? Welcome to my Bali villa here. I'm actually not in Bali, I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, but the point of this video is to share with you the ultimate guide to be able to pack everything that you own and fly to Bali and create an entirely new life for yourself. Because if you're watching this, you might be bored with your life. You might be stuck in school or college or at a job that you don't like. I'm gonna give you the 5 steps right now, so if you wanna hear them, here they are. The first is to rent a villa in a beautiful third world country, preferably with a weak currency. So some examples could be Bali, could be, right now I'm actually in Cape Town as I'm filming this, could be Colombia, anywhere where US dollar or the euro is very strong, right? Their local currency is weak. Now that comes with a caveat that I will say as someone who lives in a very privileged first world country as you might, that I'll get into later in the video. Now, the next step is to go with a group of friends. So split the villa. It's not gonna be that expensive relative to, places like Los Angeles or New York. So split the villa with friends and essentially do everything that the highest level version of yourself would do. That's going to attract people on your level, people that you would want to network who are out of your level, who are out of your league. It's going to attract girls that you might want to date, and make sure you just plan an itinerary and do fun, exciting things that attract people. The third is to capture all of that with content, to film it all, to put it on the internet, to put it on YouTube, and to start creating some kind of a brand around yourself. The fourth step is to build your tribe while you're there. As you're capturing content, as you're doing activities, whatever it might be, like riding in one of those swingy chairs, or maybe going on safari, whatever cool trip. Maybe you're seeing some kind of spiritual guru type guy. Invite people that you meet in Bali to the cool activities you're doing. Pretty self-explanatory. And then the last one is to potentially consider making a place like Bali your second home. So I'm gonna break all of this down in this video, and on top of that, I'm going to give you an example, 2 examples. One where I actually did this. I'm gonna give you some insights you won't find anywhere else on YouTube, because these are secrets that I guess you could call me an influencer, but really I really used to be an influencer, and I used to hang out with influencers all the time. I'm gonna show you how influencers have been doing this for years, and how you can steal these secrets and basically make your life absolutely insane. After you watch this, you're literally gonna want to burn all of that IKEA furniture in your dorm, in your office, in your home, in your apartment, and you're gonna want to just pack everything and just live the digital nomad lifestyle that Tim Ferriss talked about in 4-Hour Workweek, and that, maybe you've even been following my channel for a while, or, seen other guys living, and now it's your turn. So my goal with this video is to inspire the next generation to do this with, again, a caveat that I will put later in this video. Okay, so the very first step is you have to cut the ties, cut the ropes, which basically means you're gonna have to be okay with actually leaving some stuff behind. When you go to a place like Bali, it's very hypnotizing, and I actually recommend going with no return flight and cutting ties with your physical items in your home. Like, become a minimalist, okay? Cut everything off. You don't need to bring your furniture. You don't need to be attached to your whatever couch that you just bought, or even your job, right? See if you can somehow get a remote job. We're living in a remote revolution, so to speak. And, if you can somehow get your boss to allow you to work remotely, maybe show him that you are more productive when you're at home, and then that'll allow you to live anywhere in the world. And if you can live somewhere like Bali, where things are very, very, very affordable and you can still live luxuriously, that is the ideal. So it's hard to really explain without you actually experiencing it, but when you go to a place like, Colombia, Cape Town, Bali, like, everything is so cheap, it's hard to understand it until you actually experience it. That's the step one. And you kind of have to realize, and I didn't realize this, and I did my first Bali trip in 2018, and I actually kind of realized, like, as soon as I got to Bali, I'm basically the equivalent of a millionaire in Bali than it would be if I was in, like, New York City or Los Angeles. And at the time, I wasn't a millionaire. I was making decent money, but the money that I was making in the US, even though it wasn't that much, when I went to Bali, it's like I'm immediately wealthy. So that was kind of a crazy experience and something you have to realize. So what you want to do is you want to go on Airbnb, find some cool villas that are within that whatever price range suits you. Ship this idea around to some other friends who are in the same board. Maybe send this video to some friends. Maybe you have some friends who are in kind of the same entrepreneurial travel mindset, or they have a remote work situation. Send this video to them, say, hey, why don't we do this? This guy seems like he's, I don't know, he might know what he's talking about since he's done it so many times. Send them this video, send them some Airbnb options, make a spreadsheet of all the Airbnbs you like the most, and just start thinking about it, start dreaming about it, start picturing yourself there. Because if you can see it in your mind, phone, you can hold it in your hand. If you first start to visualize what it's actually like when you're, doing it and when you're actually there, it's gonna be a lot easier to put it into action. So that's the first step. The next step is to actually, once you guys have maybe picked a villa, is to consider just pressing book and booking it even before you have flights or anything. And you can book it for 2 weeks, you could book it for a month. It doesn't really matter because when you're in a place like Bali, it's very easy to meet new friends. Once you're there, new villas might open, the season changes, there's different levels of tourism, of course. Don't feel like if you go there and you don't have a return ticket, that you have to have like a 5-month lease. You can just go for a couple weeks and you'll figure it out on the fly. This is something I really recommend getting used to if you want to live this kind of lifestyle, is being completely comfortable not knowing what your plan is even the next day, let alone the next couple weeks. So I recommend, book for a couple weeks. If you have the finances and you find a place that you really like, you can book for longer, but I'd also recommend the better way of doing it is you book for a week or two so you see if the place really matches up to the quality that the pictures are online. And then if you really like it, then you can extend that place, and you might even be able to work out a deal with the owner of the place to get, a discount for an extended stay. So that is very, very key. I really recommend splitting a villa when you go to a place like this because A, you save money, B, you always have people to hang out with, and C, now you have, a bigger place to invite people back to that you meet, as opposed to just getting like a 1-bedroom in a place, like Bali, like Cape Town, whatever. If you just get a 1-bedroom, you don't really have gravity. You can't invite people to your place. Whereas like where I'm at right now, we can invite, we have a couple girls actually who are just staying here right now. We don't know them that well, but it's just, if you have extra rooms, if you can accommodate, and that's a nice thing to be able to do and kind of creates more opportunities for yourself. So the next thing you want to do is when you're in Bali, step 2 is to go to Bali and do everything that the highest level version of yourself would do. And so what I mean by this is think about if you were a multi-millionaire, what would you do on a daily basis? How would you live your life? If you're going to these places, you can very easily look up like, okay, if I had, millions of dollars, I would just search, like if, let's say I'm in Cape Town, not Bali, I would search what's the best gym, like the fanciest or the most luxurious gym in Cape Town. There's a nice gym that all my friends who do very well go to. It's called BUC here. If ever I'm in Cape Town, I just go to the best gym possible. If you're in Bali, you're gonna wanna go to Body Factory. It's in Canggu. It's got like the ice bath. It's got like all the influencers taking photos and stuff. And no matter what, like the other country you end up choosing, just basically think about if I had unlimited money, where would I go? Because newsflash, it's not that expensive to go to these gyms in other places. Whereas in Los Angeles, a day pass at Equinox could be like 50, 60, 70 bucks. It'll probably be like $5 or $10 in a place like Bali. So imagine like, okay, I'm in a whole new reality. Let's plan the highest level thing. So, okay, well, I'd probably go to dinner every night. I would probably go to the fanciest restaurant possible. I would probably go to, the biggest parties, look at wherever the DJs are performing and go to the biggest DJ sets. And just look at what you would do if you had unlimited money and do that. Now, here's where I'm gonna bring in the caveat. One of my biggest pet peeves that I've seen over the years as I've been traveling is A, people treating service workers not that nicely, and B, people not tipping excessively. When I am in places like right now, I'm in Cape Town, I got a coffee and a big breakfast, and the whole thing was like 100 Rand, which is the equivalent to about $5.50. In the US, in LA, that's like $25. What I do is I tip the equivalent of what it would cost me in my home country. So I tipped double what the cost of the bill was. I tipped 200% here. It makes the workers so happy. And not only that, I'm just incredibly polite. I'm incredibly grateful that I'm coming to their country and I want to have a good impression. I want to make people's day. And if you're not in the financial situation to do that quite yet, my recommendation is overextend yourself a little. Be more generous when you go to these countries, because the people are typically very, very grateful. They don't have it as good as you financially. If you're able to afford a flight to Bali, you have to understand, that is a luxury that so many people around the world will never have the opportunity to do. So I would just encourage you to try to be as generous as humanly possible. That's my caveat. All right, so let's continue. In Bali, some other things you can do. You can go to, there's this place called Potato Head. There is Body Factory Gym I mentioned. There's, in Uluwatu, there's Omnia, which is a pretty famous place that influencers get pictures at. I definitely have some there. The Lawn, there's Mississippi. What state is Mississippi named after?
Wait, what's the question?
Mississippi, what state is it named after?
Washington, Mississippi.
No. There's some incredible places to get a massage. Not that kind of massage, get your mind out of the gutter. You can learn surfing down in Bali. You can take trips up to Ubud and get your, more spiritual healing persona on. Maybe go see a healer or do some yoga in the jungle, do some hikes, get in touch with nature. Do everything that you would do if you were extremely wealthy, because again, once you go there, you pretty much are. Okay, so this next one, step 3, creating content in a place like Bali can harvest rewards for you years and years down the line. Take this video, for example. The fact that I have all this B-roll from 2018 and it's 5 years later, 2023, it's still valuable, it's still useful that I have all of this content. And I can't tell you, the connections I've made and the rapport I've built with people, being able to show and pull up that I've been in Bali and to share the stories and experiences that I've had. And, even reaching out and messaging people, they see, it's a huge commonality. Like, this guy gets it. He knows what it's like to pack up everything and fly to a country and kind of just wing it in life and just be essentially completely free to just break out of the matrix, break out of social conditioning. If you see someone who's been to a place like Cape Town, Bali, you understand that they understand something that most of the world does not, which is that the secret to life is earning US dollars, spend in rupiah or rand or pesos, and compensate, and by compensate, this is a Tim Ferriss quote, but hire offshore talent and pay them generously. Meaning, like, if you pay people who live in Indonesia, for example, to work with you in your company, you can pay them very generously. And again, that dollar goes a lot further there than if you pay someone in the US. Obviously, I have people that work with me in the US as well, and I actually don't have any employees right now that are from a third world country, but that's the secret. I have an entire module in Tribe Accelerator dedicated to building a brand and getting content of yourself, but I'll give you some of the key points here. And I also, by the way, I created like 2 or 3 videos very recently that I'll put on the screen right here that show you how to improve your brand, and not only that, but how to message girls and get dates and stuff like that. Those are very in-depth, but I'll give you a few specific pieces of advice to getting content in beautiful places like Bali. So one is that the sun is out a lot. The best time to get content is when the sun is going down or right when it's getting up. But if you're going there, I'm guessing you're not going to be getting up super early. It's very difficult to stay extremely productive in Bali. So I highly doubt you're going to be going to bed anytime before like, midnight. So get your content around now. It's called golden hour, where the sun is facing you. I see so many idiots film content with the sun in the background and you can't see their face because it's black. So don't do that. Make sure that when you're getting content, pictures of yourself, videos of yourself, the sun is in front of you and your face is illuminated and it's nice, natural, soft light. You can see the stuff in the background and it's beautiful and it's nice. I would also recommend getting content of nature if you can somehow engage in it. To be honest, I should show you guys, like, this is some of the most beautiful, you guys, those mountains, like, geez, so beautiful. If you can get content of nature, definitely beneficial as well. Other quick bullet points, advice for getting content is to capture you doing all these exciting things from step 2, which is, obviously includes going and doing activities. So get content of you doing stuff. Shows that you're adventurous. You're not just arm in arm, buddy, you and your boys in Bali. You're actually doing stuff. So pictures of you doing things instead of just smiling at the camera. Much more interesting if you're doing stuff. Step 4, it is inherent that you realize and you brainstorm the value that you bring to the table before going out and networking with people. Never chase anyone. Always know what you bring to the table and be perfectly fine eating alone. And what that means is basically, if you're gonna be networking, right? If you're gonna be trying to meet people while you're in this location, like whatever, maybe you're in Cape Town, let's use Cape Town for now. Don't feel like you need to chase people. Know the inherent value you bring, know the energy you bring, make a list, and this is what I would actually genuinely recommend doing, because when you go to these places, there's a lot of successful people. It can be intimidating, right? There's gonna be people making literally $5 million a month around you, or even 100K a month. Maybe that's impressive to you. And you might feel intimidated, but understand everyone is human. Everyone has their own struggles and issues, especially people that are more and more successful will see value in people of lower success in some way. So what I recommend doing is, because it can seem intimidating, you have to build some inner confidence. One of the best ways that I recommend doing this is to actually make a list of 10 amazing things about you. If you can list out 10 amazing things about you, and then after that, your 10 greatest achievements, and then after that, just write some paragraphs, like a short form essay about why you're amazing. In fact, what you could do is you have your list of 10 achievements and 10 most amazing things about you is go to ChatGPT, or go to Work Ninja and ask it to basically write an essay about why you're an amazing person. And then just read this every single day. Just prompt ChatGPT to write an essay about why you're an amazing person and read it. I pretty much actually do this with Maxi. It's a tool that I created that helps people create confidence and a vision for themselves and to stay disciplined toward achieving that vision. So that's important that you list out everything that is amazing about you and remind yourself of that on a consistent basis. All reality really is a reflection of your beliefs. If you believe you're a bad person and you don't bring value to the table, if you don't even realize that you bring value to the table, and you haven't seen in your 17, 18, 22 years that you do have value, no matter what level you're at, you're gonna focus on what you don't have. You're gonna focus on that you feel like you don't bring value. And trust me, you do. Even if it's just that you're a funny person and you might be completely broke, but you have ambitions of getting rich, it doesn't matter. Your value is dependent on how you view yourself. I know people who are wealthy, who are successful, who don't view themselves as valuable because they only focus on the negatives. You know, there's guys who are wealthy who are terrible with girls. There's guys who are tall and in good shape and who are terrible with confidence. So all you have to do is focus on the things that should be confident about. Make a list and remind yourself of that again and again. Once you realize your inherent value and you go out and you're meeting people in these places, it's easy to connect because instead of you trying to impress people, you don't have to talk about yourself at all. You're basically looking, okay, I know what I'm worth. I'm okay being here. I don't have to do anything to prove myself. Let me see if I can find people who can add value to my life. You might even want to make a list, and I've talked about this in previous videos on this channel. But if you make a list of all the ways that you potentially add value to others, then you also need to make a list of ways that people can potentially add value to you, so you know what you're looking for. It's a mistake to just think that going out into the world without defining who you want, you're gonna find it. Not defining the types of people you want, the types of value you want added to your life, you're gonna run around lost. And then over time, once you're in this place for a longer period of time, you're gonna be able to introduce people to each other. And that's one of the best ways to add value, is to be a connector. Because if you can provide an introduction, that's all you need to do to provide value to both parties. So yeah, that's step 4. Step 5 is to choose 2 other beautiful locations around the world, ideally match up with seasons of the weather, and make those and Bali your 3 home bases. Right now it's January, I'm in Cape Town as I'm filming this. This is peak time to be in Cape Town. One thing that would be smart would be to choose, let's say December is the start of summer in Cape Town all the way to maybe March. And then you choose April, May, June, July maybe for a different location around the world. Maybe for me, it'll mostly be like Los Angeles in Europe, that time period. And then the end of the year, which is more like fall, winter, family time, is I go back home. I enjoy a bit of my hometown where I was born and raised, and I see family and old friends. And so that's like, September, October, November, December, August, September, October, November, December, and I'm able to, enjoy family time. So if it's you, a great time to go to Bali. It's actually hard. Bali's a great example because it's pretty much beautiful year round. The only time I wouldn't recommend is like August in Bali is really, really crowded, but like May is a beautiful time. September, October, November is a beautiful time. So you live there for like 3 months of the year, and then you move somewhere else for 3 or 4 months of the year, and then you move somewhere else for 3 or 4 months of the year. And now you have like 3 beautiful places, and you don't have to have millions of dollars to do this. It actually is cheaper probably than having a lease in an apartment that you don't really like the city that much year round, and you end up like leaving all the time for vacation. Rather, pick 3 locations that are beautiful to you. Maybe one location you live at like what I pretty much do is I live at my parents' house for a third of the year or so. I live in Los Angeles, which is definitely more expensive, but relative to what other people would be spending on a year's worth of rent in like Boston, I spend that maybe in, a few months in LA, and then the rest of the time I try to choose a place like Cape Town or Bali, and maybe spend some time in Colombia, maybe India, who knows, and a place that's more affordable. So this is a lifestyle that's more and more accessible, and I hope that these 5 steps have been very useful to you. What I'm going to do in this part of the video is we're going to go to part 2. So we're going to go to phase 2 of this video, which is providing you an actual example of a time that I packed up everything and flew to Bali. Now this was in 2018. I was a ripe old age of 21. I'm 26 now. And at this time I was in college actually, and I was in a study abroad program. I mean, I've been studying this stuff of like social dynamics and travel hacking and lifestyle design and e-commerce for a long time. So So I was really getting into it around 2018. I had always wanted to go to Bali. I saw all the influencers doing it.
I want to do that. What am I doing? What the fuck is this? Why am I working?
And I was like, I've kind of become an influencer myself. I had been posting videos on YouTube, and not to mention, I'd also built up a little social circle in Australia. And the way I did that was I went to this event where I knew that I would meet all the people that I would potentially want to meet. And as soon as I went to that event and I cold approach, went up and met some girls, some cool guys from Australia, I decided, you know, I'm going to invite them to Bali, even though I just kind of met them. I was going to throw it out there like, hey, we're going to go to Bali at some point. And they liked the idea because they could see themselves going to Bali with me. We kind of became friends over the period of time before that trip, the 6 weeks before that. We hung out, we shot videos, we did Australia stuff. And then I did exactly what I did in this video. I followed the steps, but I did some nuanced techniques that you will never hear anywhere else. What I did was I understood that influencers have value, right? They have a following. They have people that they can influence, okay? And because of that, they get free things all the time, sometimes even free accommodation at hotels. So some of these girls that I was with had pretty big followings in Australia. Australia is a pretty popular tourist travel where people leave to go to Bali. Bali is a popular destination for Australian people. So for an Australian influencer, it makes a lot of sense to promote Bali. So I started reaching out to villas in Bali, being like, hey, I have this group of influencers. We would love to come stay at your villa. They have a reach of over 1 million combined, or I think it was like 2 or 3 million combined. And it was Lily Bowman, Ashley Mesha, well, the Mesha twins, Ashley and Olivia, and then Ella Victoria. And I said, I'm coming with these influencers. What we'll do is like a post or an Instagram story every day tagging your villa, driving traffic to your villa. And all we ask in exchange is just a free stay. What do you think they said? They said, of course. They're getting probably hundreds of, I mean, not hundreds of thousands, but tens of thousands probably dollars worth of promotion that if they had paid in advertising costs on Facebook ads or something, that they're getting just for renting out their villa for a week to some Australian influencers. I didn't have to even do any of the promotion, although I think I did just to be generous, but I was like the non-contract manager for these influencers. So if you can figure out a way to become friends with influencers, potentially by attending an influencer event or just making it a plan in your head to have influencers, you can essentially become the non-contracted manager of them, reach out to villas and arbitrage their following to basically get a free stay. That's what I did. That's how I got, you know, the places that I got in 2018 when I didn't have as much money. You can leverage it too. You don't have to be an influencer to get influencer discounts. All you need is friends who are influencers and you just provide the communication. So that's the influencer trick. Now there's more. Wait, there's more. So once I was there and we were in Bali, I didn't really know what to do. Like I had never been there. I didn't really have any friends who'd ever been there. I basically just made sure that I had the right location. And the good thing is when you're in the right location, it's hard to mess up. Like right now I'm actually in Camps Bay in Cape Town, South Africa. And this is definitely like one of the better locations. If you get the location wrong, you're screwed. So make sure you get the location right. Bali, can't really go wrong with Canggu. Uluwatu's a little bit quieter, but Canggu's pretty easy. Seminya's a bit more touristy. But you know, if you get the location right, then figuring out stuff to do is easy because you just go to the town and you just talk to people and you go to the right places. Now, the other thing that I obviously did is I got a ton of content while I was there. And I think it's important too that when you're there, you help your friends get content. You take pictures of them so that they also take pictures of you and they're also comfortable potentially being in your content. It obviously helps when you get content to have other cool people in your photos, and it creates social proof and it promotes this idea that you're a trustworthy person. If you went to Bali on a trip with other people, then other people in the future that see your profile, they go, oh, I trust this guy because he went to this country with other people. I got content. I actually never ended up making Bali like a second home. Maybe one day. I did return in 2022 with my friend Adam, and we had a great time. And I think the thing that we did slightly differently this time is we used Adam's famous Airbnb technique, where actually I think I'll save that one. I know this video is going to go viral, so I don't want this technique to get too popular or else it won't work anymore. But, you know, join Tribe Accelerator or message me on Instagram and maybe I'll tell you. At this point in the video, I'm assuming there's a lot of guys watching that are like, Arlen, why don't you just tell me how to get laid in Bali? Because I know there's only a couple more years before they make it illegal, right? Because I know that's happening. And you're probably wondering, how do I get girls in Bali? Well, the good news is there's always cute girls in Bali. Always. So you have to improve your skill set of in person, going up, introducing yourself, saying, hi, my name is Arlin. What's your name? And you talk to them and you invite them to things, invite them to the cool activities you're doing. And it sounds simple, and that's because it is. But what's not simple is the implementation of it. You have to get the reps in. So while you're there, I recommend playing a game called the Go Game. This is a game I'd play back in college, but you're gonna play it in Bali because you're doing it at the next level. Where basically you're just gonna go there and you're gonna be with your boys and you're gonna see a cute Russian girl. You're gonna be like, go. And either he goes, or if he hesitates, he does 15 push-ups on the spot. But if he goes, he's gonna go say hi. He's gonna say privyet, nice to meet you. And you know, you're gonna then invite her out to dinner, and you're gonna say bring her friend, tell her to bring her friends, and then you're gonna have a nice dinner with some Russian girls, and that's gonna be great. And you're not gonna be a creep. You're gonna be very respectful, and yeah, you're gonna have some fun experiences. Yeah, there's a lot of cute girls in Bali all around. So all you have to do is just not be a little. We can bleep that out, or we can bleep that one out too. And you need to go up and say hello. And just because, again, you're in Bali, or just because you have a cool villa, doesn't mean girls want to hang out with you. That being said, let's go over to some guys in the tribe. Like, I've helped guys do this numerous times, so I'm gonna interview a couple guys and talk to them about how they were able to organize their trip and see if they have any other value to offer. So Kumar, before you joined Tribe, tell us where you were at, then tell us what it was like being in Tribe, and then you met some guys in the Tribe and you went to Bali, and let's try to provide some value to the viewer.
In all honesty, my life before Tribe, I was at a really low point, some of the darkest times of my life personally, and was just starting to come out of that when I found you, Arlin, and joined Tribe back in January 2022. Tribe first really helped me to pull me even further out of those dark spots and make sure I didn't enter back into them, as well as immediately introduced me to who are now my best friends, guys I talk to every day all throughout the world. And that way, like, one of my favorite things, especially starting out, and was really helpful, was even though I wasn't talking to these guys in person, we were talking over text and over Zoom. I had more in common with them and more familiarity with them than people I'd known my whole life from my hometown, just because we were so aligned with our values and things we wanted to do. And actually, out of that is something I always wanted to do before I even met you, was go to Bali. And so when a couple of guys were like, yo, Will, like, you know, Bali's always something we want to do, it was a no-brainer. They invited me on the trip. I was in my last semester of college. We talked about this trip and planned this trip literally with what we learned from the course. You helped us plan other elements from your own experiences, recommended restaurants, all sorts of things like that. And right after graduation, there were 5 other Tribe guys and myself and girls that we brought along, and we literally went to Bali for a month. It was one of the best times of my life and really opened the world. It was just magic. This is January 2023. If I talked to the version of myself in January 2022, we would not recognize one another, because of Tribe and because of what I learned and applied through Tribe and the Bali trip.
And so you hadn't previously met the guys that you went on the trip with in person. It was just, you flew to Bali and you met, right?
Right. Yeah. So we met one time through a Tribe meetup. Literally, that was the first time. We officially, like, Bali was the most time we'd ever spent together outside of being on Zoom calls.
How do you know these were going to be cool guys that were in your same mindset? How did you trust just like random online people to fly across the world with? And not only that, like, stay with?
Even though it's a Zoom or over text, you can tell through the conversations that these people are real, authentic, great, high value guys that you want as your friends. Like, I trusted these guys and became closer to the guys I went on the trip with within 2 weeks to a month than friends I'd known my whole life, because you're so aligned in those values and you've all had similar experiences and want the same things.
What would you tell someone who's planning a trip to, or who's considering planning a trip to Bali right now? What tips would you give them?
Definitely book your flights early. Earlier the better. I booked mine 2 weeks before and still went. That would have been really helpful. The flight is normally the most expensive part about Bali, but approach it with a total open mind. Be willing to try anything and make sure you see the island. Go with people you love and people who want similar things and just love the adventure.
Anything else while you were in Bali that you actually learned, like little, because you were there for a month? So like anything else you would impart to someone who's like a first timer?
So kind of on that similar note before, have an open mind, but really just be thinking about like, okay, this is possible for anyone to do. Think about how that can affect your life as a whole. It's not just a vacation, but how can you make these things you love about trips like this, incorporate that into your life more? Like I always tell people, Bali opened up the world for me because it was the first proof of concept of everything. You know, if I can go to this tiny island halfway across the world from living and growing up in a small town in rural Ohio with less than 16,000 people, I can literally do anything, and literally anything in the world is available to me. I always push guys, especially good to go there because you won't be the same.
You kind of feel like it broke the matrix for you, huh?
It was that first dive. Like I always like, I tell people it was magic because in the Matrix movie, when Neo first kind of like breaks the laws of reality and like, you know, like defies gravity, all kinds of stuff like that, that's literally a similar feeling. It feels like that.
So you come from a relatively normal household, like parents' traditional jobs, and this was like the first time you broke out.
Yes. My dad didn't go to college. Great guy. I love my family. My mom's a librarian. For sure successful by their own merits. But yeah.
What did they think of this?
So my dad, it was really funny. He had a major change because before all he was doing was sending me like, oh, man ends up in Balinese prison, going to this, like, well, you're going to get arrested. Like, this is dangerous. This is tropical. And then I made, actually with your help, a video too, and just showed him all the stuff from Bali. And my mom told me he was watching it like all the time. Like he'd watch it at least once a day, if not multiple times. He still tells me he shows his friends and was so happy and like literally now pushes me to do more of that because I expanded his own limits of what he believed really was possible. Literally wants to come with me too, which is awesome.
That's beautiful. I love it. Maybe you'll bring your pops to Bali one day.
That's the plan. That's the plan for sure. I guess one other thing is, so I went last May and I'm planning to go again this April for a month. And I know for the next few years, like Bali it's so good that it'll probably be in my plan to go at least a month or two every year.
Second home, maybe?
Perhaps we'll see if it's in the rotation. Doing a little bit more traveling with tribe, with my brothers and friends in tribe to kind of figure out, but for sure could be. We'll always feel like home.
Fire. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video overall. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, message me on Instagram if you have any other questions about this. And the very last thing I want you to do is to click the link in the description and sign up, register for the Tribe Accelerator webinar. This is a workshop that I run you through the steps to building a tribe in 2023. I know you're gonna love it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.